So separation of church and state, we just need to understand, first of all, that is not in the Constitution or any of our founding documents anywhere.
It's not.
Separation of church and state is in a letter written from Thomas Jefferson to the Danbury Baptist churches. This is a little nerdy. And honestly, remember their context. This is like Revolutionary War era. So remember, they're scared, British background, of the government interfering with the church.
Yeah.
That's what they're scared of. So Thomas Jefferson writes them in this letter, like, hey, it's cool, guys, separation of church and state. And this is really important. Separation of church and state does not mean a separation of morality and state. That's impossible. And it doesn't mean a separation of politics and religion. Also impossible. It means a separation of governments. So it's talking about leadership, organizational institutions. It's saying that the same dude that's the president of the nation shouldn't also be the pope of the church. And last thing, really important, the purpose is to keep the government from interfering with the church.
Right.
Like, for example, the government telling churches they have to shut down for 2 years.
Thank you.
We'll just leave that right there.
You're not okay.
Oh, but leave the strip joints open and the casinos.
That's right. Abortion clinics and Seahawks games.
But we have to.
The People's Republic of Washington.
We have to close down and wear masks. And by the way, you can't have intelligent doctors like Dr. Peter McCullough on to tell the truth concerning COVID and vaccinations and, you know, all of that we actually did here on Daystar. But the censorship thing, that's a big thing. People don't realize how we're moving to a place. Would you have ever thought that some of the things would be censored on YouTube that we're seeing censored now?
It was like, I mean, even just a couple days before now, you had the deal where Donald Trump is on Joe Rogan, I think largest podcast in America, and for a span of like 8 hours, you could not search Joe Rogan Trump and get the YouTube video.
Yeah.
This is the largest podcast in America with the most prominent man in America. So no, I did not think that.
Yeah, it's crazy. This is one of the freedoms we're fighting for, isn't it? And how important is it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that there is a class of political leaders today who believe that free speech is a privilege to be granted instead of a right to be protected.
That's right.
And this is the reason why we made a decision to open up very early on during the COVID era of 2020, because what we noticed in Washington state was that our government was totally okay with people exercising their free speech or people exercising their right to assemble as long as you were agreeing with or partnering with the ideology of those who were in power. Right. And so you could burn down city streets, you could chant defund the police, you could take over entire city blocks and police precincts like happened in Seattle, but God forbid the church gather. That's much too dangerous. And so when we begin to make decisions about which rights are going to be protected based upon ideological grounds, I mean, people of good faith and good conscience have to stand up. The government, by its very nature, trends in the direction of totalitarian overstepping of its designed and given authority. And so, you know, the church in this past season kind of has operated as a check on the authority of government. We believe in government. Government is a construct designed by God. The Apostle Paul is clear about that in the book of Romans. But when the government doesn't stay in its lane, it does not self-course correct by the church being silent.
There it is.
And I think there's a lot of believers who have traded telling the truth for being nice.
It's true.
So if I can just be liked and affirmed by people who don't share my values. Winston Churchill said it like this. He said, an appeaser is one who feeds a crocodile hoping to be eaten last. And we have pastors and churches that have been given over to the doctrine of appeasement, thinking if they just stay silent or just be nice or play it cool, then everybody's just gonna leave us alone. And that is just not the track record of the last 4 years.
That's right.